Now, for more on this, we have with us Phumlani Majozi, author and political analyst, who is joining us live from Johannesburg. Thank you for being with us.
Great to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Phumlani, what does the United States' decision to begin processing asylum seekers' claims from white South Africans signal about its stance on South Africa's domestic land reform policies? And could this be interpreted as a political message, or is it purely an immigration matter?
Well, we can assume at this point that the Trump administration is very serious about the issue, that they've initiated the processing. That shows that they are serious. And I would like to advise your audience that we shouldn't expect the Trump administration to stop this. It will continue, even though the president of South Africa has said that the two of them have decided to, or they plan to have talks in the future. But we shouldn't expect that this process is going to stop. The Trump administration will go ahead because they've taken this issue seriously. They want to, because of the concern of expropriation of land without compensation and other issues as well that we have seen in the country, including things like kill the farmer rhetoric from some politicians, including things like race-based policies. All of those things have been a concern to the Trump administration with respect to South Africa, especially since South Africa has been a beneficiary of the AGOA program, right? This is Africa Growth Opportunity Act. Yes. So the Trump administration has been, because one of the requirements by the US is that if the country is going to benefit from AGOA, it has to meet certain requirements that the American government is comfortable with. So we shouldn't expect this to stop. Let's take it seriously and assume that it's not going to stop. Yes, the talks will begin between South Africa and the US, but the Trump administration will continue to push ahead with these arrangements. Right. South Africa has been a focus, right, and we shouldn't expect that this is going to go away anytime soon.
Yes. Right. And how might this move by the US impact diplomatic relations between the two countries, especially in light of President Ramaphosa's announcement of talks with Donald Trump?
Well, we need to be clear that our government, and I've said this on your show as well before, that is our government wants to improve relations with the US. Now, you might not be happy with some of their actions. We will not be 100%. Not everybody will be happy with the actions of our government in terms of handling the issue. But it's been clear that they do want to fix the relations with the US. So I'm not sure this is going to make our government, Ramaphosa's administration, to say, look, we are not going to talk to you, Mr. Trump, because you've initiated this process of, settling Afrikaners. They will continue to push for the improved relations, given the whole tensions, and hope that at some point there will be an agreement being reached. So I don't think, some people have said that, well, perhaps Ramaphosa's administration will abandon the US and focus more in the East, strengthen trade, bolster trade with China, Russia, India, and so on, and just forget about the US, or reduce the relations with the US. I don't think that's going to happen. Ramaphosa's administration, they do want to improve the relations, and my hope is that these talks between Trump and Ramaphosa, they begin as soon as possible, so the countries can find common ground and reach a trade deal, because it's good for South Africa as a developing country. We do need stronger relations with the United States. They are the second biggest trade partner. And we had a trade surplus with them. So if that can continue, that will be positive for the administration. Right. So I don't think that all of this is going to sort of shut down the diplomatic engagements between the two countries. They will go ahead in the upcoming months.
Yes. And Phumlani, what precedent does this set for international asylum protocols? And could it potentially undermine South Africa's sovereign efforts to address historical land inequalities?
Well, here's the thing. You need to understand that between South Africa and the US, there are certain trade relations that were existing before, right? We all know of them, various initiatives, including the AGOA, of course, initiative. And within that, we need to understand that this is a global, it's an international system where nations, they sort of, they choose as to who they work with. And for powers like the United States, if they are going to deal with South Africa, there are things that they will want to be happy with before they can trade with South Africa, before they can offer some financial, assistance or whatever. And we cannot fault them for that. It is their, their right. Even when it comes to policies that we have, if the US does not like them, Alison, they have a right to say we don't like these policies, and we are therefore going to adjust our relations with respect to South Africa. Will our sovereignty be had? Look, we'll always be a sovereign state. That needs to, I need your audience to understand this. We'll always be a sovereign state, but we must just remember that whatever actions we take as a nation, some people will never, or some nations will like those actions, some won't. Some nations will like our domestic policies, some won't. It is up to those nations as to how, including the US, as to how it takes our domestic policies and whether it does want to proceed and deal with us in light of those domestic policies.
Yes. Phumlani, it's always great to have you on the show. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me.